I've found it major in life that one is happiest doing what one likes doing, and that's what your job needs to be. I just loved teaching. In particular, when kids chose to do your subject, when they loved you as you loved them. It could be 11-year-olds, it could be adults. It made no difference. It's just a joy to teach, to help, to be a blessing. When people, your audience feels you are a blessing, and you relate and love them as you should, so to speak. So, I love that sort of situation, whether I'm paid or not. I need to be paid. Well, I haven't been paid for some time. I've been a long time retired now. I'm 78. And I packed up mid-50s, basically. I had back trouble, praise God. And I found the more I packed up, the better my back was. And that was majorly concerning me, I can tell you. So at some point I stayed at home and homeschooled my younger son, and that was a great experience. What a blessing. And so on and so forth. But what I wanted to say was, just as that seems to be a principle, you choose an occupation that you love. Similarly, choose a lifestyle that you love. Choose a partner that you love if you're going to partner. Ideally the Jesus story is you choose God. For the children of the world to come neither marry nor are given in marriage, but are as the angels of God in heaven. Wow. But that aside, if I dare say that, fancy saying that of the Jesus story, that aside, you will, I think, ultimately need to pursue your view of God to find out if it works here, in this world, in as far as the state allows you to. And I don't mean go beyond that, because you'd just be a menace to others if you do, and to yourself, because the state will have to clamp down on you. You don't want that to happen. So yes, we are conformist in that way, but not unnecessarily so, only necessarily so. I obey the law because it's the law. End of story. What can I do about that? Not much. So I don't. Simple as that. God knows all about my predicament. He doesn't. I don't want my kids to go to school and fight with the teachers and the administration. If I don't like the school they're in, I'll get them out, put them somewhere else. In some societies. In others, perhaps you can't. Well, that's a problem then. You have to put up with what you've got. God knows all about that. I'm going to trust that in some sense it's right until the system is changed. But it's not going to be the individual, typically, that changes the system. Most individuals that try to change the system simply get crushed. That's the end of the matter. I want my kids to be safe at school. Yes. I want it to be a blessing. They get the most blessing if they basically do what the school requires. Well, I might tell them that the values of the school are a bit different to our values at home. But I'm not going to try and alienate them in school. That would be terrible, because they won't be able to learn then. You know, that teacher, although he's not of my values, has something to bless you with. That's why you're there. Recognize that and honor him for that. Respect him. Don't necessarily follow him as your example in life, but respect that he's probably knows many things that would be a great blessing to you if you knew about them. Yeah, but more importantly now, I'm coming back to your religion. Choose your religion. And I don't mean choose from what's out there. I actually mean choose from what's in you. What are your values? That tells you the God that you worship. You can only love with all your heart, soul, mind and strength a God that personifies what you truly find you value at heart. You better find out what that is, because that's where your future lies, as far as I can see. Trust in that God and see if that trust brings great blessing in your life. And if you find, on the other hand, no, it brings chaos and animosity and war and trouble and despair, don't keep following it. It could be you that's wrong. Change your values accordingly. What do you value? You know, do you value this bad company, or is it taking you the wrong way? Do you value this habit, or is it wrecking your health and well-being? Do you value this way of treating other people, or are they resulting in fights, or ostracism or excommunication? Is that a problem to you? What do you value then? Get your values true to form, your form. See if they work, adjust them accordingly. See if it works, adjust it accordingly. See if it works. Treat your life as a great learning situation as a child. I mean, in the Jesus story, with God, your heavenly Dad, dwelling in you, ever loving you and calling the tune what's out there in the world too. All-powerful God that loves you. Can you risk trusting anything else? I don't think so. It sounds like logical heresy to do that. You can only love what you value. And you need to find out if what you value is right. So you live it and see. And what do you take as evidence of it being right? Happiness and joy, fullness of life, creativity, love, peace, hope, meaning to life. We have the same list of what we think is good generally. More or less. That's what you value. Does your God personify that? And does it work when you trust in him like that? I think that is the way, what we mean by Jesus. And in the story, I think Jesus is the hero. He is, isn't he? And you identify with the hero. Identify, not worship. I am Jesus in the story. I'm El Cid in the film. I'm the hero in the film, the play. In my make-believe, I'm the good guy. Right? And I sort of enter into, is that a working model? Does some of that rub off on me? That speaks to me. I agree with that. And what does Jesus do in the story? He worships God as Father. He's not talking to himself, he's talking to God as Father. I mean, you may think it's Mickey Mouse in that it's praying to someone who's not there, but that's what he's doing in the story, by appearances. Does that work? Is that really the way? He says, I'm the way. Not something to be worshipped, but this is the way to do it, in other words. I'm example. Not God. Example of you in your situation. What's meaningful to you? Otherwise it doesn't speak to you, does it? You know, it's a person who gets weary, he gets tired, he gets hungry, he suffers pain. They want to kill him. He's misunderstood. He's loved by some and hated by others. He's coping with a society that doesn't automatically love. It's simply legal and a bit frightening at times. You know, worst comes to the worst, it might kill you. Oh dear. Am I to ignore this? Did he ignore it? After all, he got crucified. What's that about? Well, some of my recordings tackle that, don't they? But more or less, you might think. Yeah. But do you see the story's there to help, not to be worshipped? Jesus is there as an example, not to be worshipped. He is the way, but not to be worshipped. What does he worship? Well, he seems to worship his view of God. Well, what is his view of God? That God is Heavenly Dad. Well, that's a bit novel. I thought he was the guy who would wipe out all the Philistines if necessary, or all the original inhabitants of the land, in order to put his chosen people in. Gosh, sounds like the British going to their empire, doesn't it? You know, we have a right to be here. You thought it was your land. No, we're taking it. Really? Is this your God-given right to steal our land? What are you doing here? We're protecting you, otherwise you get the French or the Dutch. You've got us instead, like it or not. Oh, better get on and enjoy it, I suppose. I don't think we do, though. And of course we wiped out most of the population with our disease, not with the gun at all. They weren't proof, the native populations, against West European diseases. They went down like flies. I mean, didn't just decimate, not 10%. 90% of the population could get wiped out by diseases they had no protection against at all. We shouldn't have been there. But in a sense, if we weren't, then someone else would have been. Some other imperialist seeker pushing their way in. The world's not a place of just good. It's a place of presented good and bad that you might learn. That's our meaning to life. Learn what? With what hope and goal? Life. Life eternal. In the way that you value it, as you see it, determines the only God you can truly worship. Worship that God, trusting, of course, that he'll lead you into a better understanding of him. And he will. Taste and see. How? Whatever's good and lovely, think on these things. My chap in the street, in the end, I just stopped him and said, look, I'm not going down this example you're talking about. It's whatsoever's good and lovely, think on these things. You're going through, supposing you were an adulterer of so-and-so. I'm not supposing that. I'm not. Well, supposing I'm not a believer. You are a believer, and I know you are. You actually worship your God. I know it. It's just that it's not my view of God. But of course I'd lost him by then. He was off on some other piece of scripture that I know inside out and backwards, but he felt illustrates his point. And I couldn't shut him up. And perhaps there was no point. God was saying, you see, you leave this one to me. There's nothing Marshall. But he stopped me in the street, Lord. Yeah, well, I'm just showing you. Don't assume that someone who stops you in the street to evangelize you has to be heard. You could be there for weeks and get nowhere. Right, Lord, I've got the lesson. Thank you. Can I go home to lunch now? Bless you, dear one. And you are blessed. Thank you, Heavenly Dad. Right, hopefully a quick summary then. You choose a job that you enjoy doing, if you possibly can. Most important. Sure, you need a living, but choose a job that's as near what leads you to something you enjoy doing. Not just the cash. If you can. To some extent, the cash has got to take priority. You need a living. It forces you into circumstances that will teach you. Probably faster than you want to learn, but will teach you. But similarly, when it comes to your God, you must choose your God if you can. Not where you can't, where the state prevails on you. Fair enough. Take that as God-given. He can move the state if he wants to, leave alone your particular situation. You trust him for that. But in as far as you are free to love your God, do so. Simply that, you see. You will find that's where your greatest reward is. I found this to be the case. Taste and see. How do you taste and see? Whatsoever is good and lovely, think on these things. Why is that such a help, a talisman, a benefit, a blessing? Because you feel so happy and delighted, and you feel gratitude welling up inside you. You want God to exist with all your heart. Wow, gratitude has rescued you into a trust in God, a desire for God. My soul longs for you. You're on the path, mate. This is what gratitude does to you. It transforms your path, the way you go. Loyalty springs up in you. You're the Scythian loyalty. You know, this is, who is the cause of my benefit and blessing? I'm loyal to them. Grateful, if you like. Faithful. True. Can be relied on. Love. They didn't necessarily get as far as love. I think that may have been what ancient Egypt provided, but it's certainly what the Jesus story provides. Just see God as your dad. That's the way to go. A loving, perfect dad. Okay, you may have lost and loved mum, and you may have lost her like Paramahansa at the age of 11. Or perhaps you worship God then as Divine Mother. I can understand that. And if I can, how much more can God, for goodness sake, be understanding of that and love you? Just as if you're hooked on loving Jesus instead of God, and you see Jesus as God. Well, okay, it's your view, and that's okay with him. Love your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, and see where it leads you. I think if you're totally devoted to Jesus, you start to hear what he says. What does he say? He says, worship God, and him only shalt thou serve. Love one another as I have loved you. New commandment I give you, to love one another. You mean I wasn't commanded to do this in the Old Testament? Well, it wasn't emphasized anyway. I give it to you as a new commandment. Love one another as I have loved you. And I might point out the one another may not have been love everybody It may have been love each other, the fellowship, those that are following, the disciples. Do you see? The story's not necessarily what the church has made of it. Could be, but I don't think necessarily it is. Do you see? There's an uncertainty. And what does the uncertainty do? It means you have to fall back on trust. And what do you choose to trust? Well, I choose to trust that God is the personification of what I truly value. How could I love him otherwise? So I do. And I trust that he'll help me go the right way. Does this overall trust benefit me? Wow, you're kidding. There's no way I wish to go back to my old ways. Oh. Yes, you should try it too. The evangelist on the street, here we go again. Thank you, Heavenly Dad.